This is what $1,000 looks like for LEGO Star Wars in 2025. Guys, I cannot believe the UCS Death Star has finally leaked. After months and months of rumors and speculation, we finally have it right in front of us. No more questions. Well, this probably has a few questions to be answered, like where is the beach trooper that we had leaked? I don't see him anywhere in this picture, so we'll get to that in this video. But I was actually live stream building the 2008 and 2016 playset Death Stars yesterday when this leaked, which was crazy timing, of course. It did leak. That is a horrendous side of the box.
Yeah, but that's just the box. Can we look at the actual picture? That doesn't look too terrible.
Okay, that looks a lot better than I thought it would. Anyway, in the video, I'm going to break down this $1,000 Death Star, give you all the details, and of course, my initial thoughts and reactions. And initially, off the bat, my thoughts seeing this set, it looks a lot better than I expected. And I think I had a different perspective on what I thought this Death Star would be than a lot of people. And I think in a lot of ways, I'll idealize sets for better or for worse, like the UT-AT turbo tank and the clone troopers that come out, sets like that. I want them to be perfect versions of themselves, which they can and should be for the prices they're charging, but that's besides the point of this video. But I'll idealize the set. But this set, I was very ready to be let down. I think I said this in one of my rumor videos, like 6 months ago, I had the, oh my God, this is going to suck moment. And so I've gotten it out of my system, and this is much better than I thought it would be. I still don't know about $1,000, but it's a lot cooler to me than even these Death Stars. I think this is a much cooler style of Death Star playset, display, diorama type of thing than doing something like the ones that are behind me. I still would have preferred paneled with the option to get to the interior, just as like the complete real Death Star-y package, big sphere. But this is not like horrible. For all intents and purposes, I fell to my knees when I found out the Death Star wasn't going to be a giant sphere for $1,000. I'm not kidding. My reaction was very bad. But seeing it here, it does look a lot cooler, and it's got a lot of very cool stuff inside, and some of which we can't even see, which, like I said, I'm going to get to. But we'll get with the basic details here. 9,023 pieces. It's going to be $1,000. We know that, and it's coming out on October 1st, so just a little less than a couple months away. Anyway, I want to get into some basic details. We got 9,023 pieces for $1,000, which means the price per piece isn't horrendous. But I think when you're LEGO and you're approaching your first $1,000, again, US dollar, set, I think you should have not gone 1,000 here. Really, like you should have kept it at 900 so that your first $1,000 set wasn't like a crazy outside of the box thing. And that's what always surprised me about it is previously their most expensive sets, like when they would break into a new price barrier with that 2007 UCS Falcon, 2017 UCS Falcon, and then I think the UCS AT-AT maybe got a price increase or whatever to 850. But either way, the sets that like break those price barriers tend to be like just perfect versions, or at least for their time, 2007, perfect versions of their builds with figures and things that are really great. And this doesn't feel like what people envisioned for $1,000. But like I said, again, it's not horrible. It's not bad. I actually really like it. It's a unique style. It might not be a style you like, but I think they actually made a pretty dang cool Death Star display type of set. I do have a problem with them calling it UCS though. So if we go to this picture, it's the side of the box, which is a very so this was one of the first pictures that leaked, by the way. And when I saw this was before like I had seen the front of the box. So we'll flip back here. And I was like, the only reason this picture is on the side of the box like this with like a really like just generic picture of a Death Star is because the build isn't that good. And so like I was really ready to be let down by the build. I thought it was going to be horrible, but no, it wasn't. This side of the box is very weird. But again, to my point, Ultimate Collector Series, it is going to be officially UCS. And I was hoping it would be Master Builder Series. It looks and feels a lot more like a Master Builder Series set. It's essentially, if you want to break it down really simply, the Master Builder Series Cloud City turned on its side, and so I don't know how you don't call this Master Builder Series. The fact that this is $1,000 probably played in that decision. They probably didn't want something called Master Builder Series to be their first $1,000 set. They probably wanted it to be Ultimate Collector Series, that ultimate word doing a lot of the heavy lifting there when they're trying to sell something to you for $1,000. Now, the Ultimate Word also doing a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to the minifigs and their lack of quality. I don't know why this picture is so bad, but it is. We've seen most of these. A very similar picture to this has leaked quite a while ago. And basically what we couldn't see was that we were getting that 6th Stormtrooper, which we now see there. And then also like, I think these 4 Imperial members, or maybe these 3 here on the left, but it's 38 total figures here from what I can see. And only 1 or 2 dual molded legs in sight from the Beach Trooper, who has a lot of text. Again, we can't read it, but a lot of text under him. Why does he have 3 lines of text? But we've talked about the minifigs at length, so I'm just going to show that picture and get back to the main front of the Death Star. And starting at the bottom, you're going to see that there's this very large, wide base at the bottom. So it is this flat pancake shape that I had talked about expecting. except it does kind of break out of that mold a little bit. It's not completely flat. You know, it's not super spherical like we wanted, like I said, but obviously big circle, still a big circle. And then it has sections that kind of jut out. And I think this picture here will show that really well if you look at the dimensions of the set. And you can see at its widest point, it comes out quite a bit. Most of the model is about half as wide as this bottom part that is super wide. But you can see pretty clearly how that shape works. And it does look like maybe there is something more to the base than we see. It's hard to tell. Oh, I guess I can't go. Yep, there we go. Like, is there something actually, like, there's no way this set is holding itself up just by like 8 gray pieces touching at the bottom here. It has to have some sort of stand built onto it that we can't see. And I think you can see that if you look here, like in the blueprint, because you can see just a lot more stuff going on around the bottom that we can't really see in that other picture. So kind of gives me a bit of a suspicion there that something's going on. But anyway, we flip this back and let's get on to the first room, the best room, maybe. I don't know. Every room in this looks really cool. This hanger I really love because of the stars. Like, I think that's just such a cool idea from the designer, whoever did this. Like, the stars are a great idea. Looking out into space really gives you a bit of perspective. I also I didn't consider the idea that the Imperial shuttle would be included to literally have the hanger and recreate the hangar scene where the Emperor and Darth Vader meet. And so I think that's really cool to see here. We got the, I guess, Imperial shuttle pilot there. Like, the shaping and design of the shuttle, if we again go back to this picture, the shuttle has a pretty good design for its size. It's in a scale that we don't get a lot of Star Wars sets in. Like, it's super downsized. It's super downsized because it has to be, not because they would otherwise maybe sell a model this big for an Imperial shuttle, but who knows. But I mean, I think this thing might look close to being better than the 2021 version, but it's really the wing that I think is so oddly shaped. Like, it looks like it cuts off a little too soon. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at this one a little bit more and certainly compare it to the source material, but isn't it really cool? You're able to recreate that entire scene there. Like, I love that. With 6 stormtroopers, I mean, that's a pretty good number. Although having 6 here and then you can't have any stormtroopers elsewhere in the build, if that's how you choose to display it, is kind of lame. So maybe there should have been more stormtroopers. So yeah, there definitely should have been more stormtroopers. I actually feel like 9 would have been a good number because you can have the 6 there like they have in the picture. And then you have 1, 2, and then 3. I don't know. Anyway, so the next room to the left is going to be the trash compactor. You can see it's pretty much a miniature version of the diorama set that we had before. And it looks like a pretty solid trash compactor. I think if you look in, again, we're going to have to switch between pictures a few times here. This picture, you can see the monster kind of peeking through there. And let's go back again. There's probably space underneath to fit him in there. Like, I assume the monster is included, but maybe it's just the eye that you can peek through and that's going to be it. And you're not actually going to get the build for the monster, but I'm not sure. I guess also before I go any higher, there is your display plaque as well as Krennic and Galen Erso. And they are not going to, of course, go inside of the Death Star, but they're nice extra figures that are included outside of the Death Star. But the Beast Trooper is inside the Death Star, but where is he? We don't see him. So we'll get to that. Like I said, gotta love the recreation of the hallway scene with Han Solo running away from the stormtroopers there. I think that's a great scene. And the wall panels, it's hard to tell. I'm praying that they're going to be printed. We know they're not going to be printed, right? But they could be printed and that would be awesome. It's just hard to tell. Let me see. Maybe the other picture is going to be better. And no, I don't see anything that's going to show me some wall panels there. Probably giving some people whiplash going from picture to picture. But between the hangar and the trash compactor, I kind of skipped over it. There's the doorway where Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight. So that's going to be a small scene that you can recreate down there, which is nice. On the bottom right of the Death Star here, we've got C-3PO in one of the control rooms. And they have very craftily hidden his right leg. Wow. I guarantee that was on purpose to hide the fact that he doesn't have a dual molded leg, but they very craftily did hide that away. So good on them. Very smart box designer. But yeah, C-3PO, no dual molded leg. We know that. None of the Imperial officers that should have had dual molded legs are going to have them. We also know that. Moving a little further up, you've got Darth Vader's transformation chamber, which looks sick. You can see a little planet in the background there. So it looks like it'll have some type of visual aspect there, kind of peering out into the distance. Really cool to see this in a miniature scale. Again, it looks like a great little build. You've also got the tractor beam shut off, and this build, like I said, just built the 2008, 2016 ones, and the build is so improved for this particular section. It's crazy. You've also got the large area that Luke and Leia are jumping across. Nice wide open pit for them to fall into. Looks like there will be some sort of swinging function. I'm not sure if it will be an actual, I assume it's not an actual like play function, but some sort of swinging function where maybe you can have them like suspended in that particular spot, or you can maybe it's not a ball joint that has enough friction to hold it wherever you want. You can have them wherever they are crossing along, but not literally just a swing and it just stops and is kind of lame. Also up here, we've got an Imperial meeting room, which is sick, of course. You have quite a few empty seats, which is definitely going to be disappointing. Like, they should have just included more figures to fill out the seats for $1,000. But in here, we should have Yularen, Tarkin, and then the other two officers that I can't remember their names of and are hard to pronounce, so I'm not even going to try, but they're all there that were in the leaked minifig list. So looks quite nice there. I like that room and the representation that they were able to provide there. Moving down, we've got a little hallway action with one of our Imperial protocol droids, another little room here with a couple more Imperial officers, and then Han Solo and Chewbacca. I guess this is the interrogation section, actually, where they're going to save Leia, which might be where she is, because I otherwise don't see her, but we do know she is included in the set, so she must be in this room hidden away, which is kind of interesting. I don't even know why they would hide her away. Oh, no, I'm stupid. She's up here, yes. But I assume she can be hidden in this little chamber here, or I would hope there's some sort of chamber there. I don't know. Maybe there's not enough depth on the back. It's hard to tell. Like, you can see there are little sections on the back. It's not like a completely flat backing. There's some little tiny sections that jut out a couple of studs, so maybe there's something going on there. Maybe not. But yeah, back to this section up top here. You've got the laser, which I think looks great. There's one thing I really love about this laser. Well, a couple things. First off, all of the laser colors are the same. Like on the micro Death Star that they did for May 4th, they used like 4 different colors for the green of the laser. All of the green is the same here, which has been the case for the other UCS Death Stars or larger Death Stars, so I'm not surprised, I should say, but I'm excited that it is that way. And then you've got the clear one in the middle, which of course is going to, it's not supposed to have green there. And in the other ones, they had green there because they didn't really have a better way to build it. But in this one, they used clear to represent the fact that there is no actual green laser beam coming from the middle. It all kind of comes to a point and then shoots off, which, I mean, we don't need to get into the physics of that. There's no way that would make sense, but not the point. This whole thing looks amazing, though. I am really impressed with the way the Death Star laser looks. And I think while I'm on this section here, we'll talk about like this exterior paneling, which is really smooth. Like the 2005 Death Star is the only other example of like the exterior of a Death Star, really. And I mean, I guess those have like the strips, but it would be so studded in 2005, and this one is so smooth, and I really like that it's smooth. I mean, it's kind of supposed to be smooth, but yeah, it is smooth, which is nice to see. Also looks to be what, 1 2 3 4, maybe 12 studs or so thick, something like that. I'm just counting these. You can see 4 and 4, and then maybe a couple in between, a couple on the outside, so something like 12 studs thick at like the main width. Looking a little bit higher, you've got an Imperial like engineer, officer, or whatever looking out over the Death Star, and then you've got a couple of the Death Star gunners that are running the control station here, which looks so sick. That's a great representation of that scene. You've got an Imperial officer coming out of an elevator shaft. There is an elevator shaft that runs the entire length of the build, top to bottom, and you can see if you look at the very, very top, very hard to tell, but there are these Technic pieces here, so it is clearly going to have an actual working elevator, which I kind of expect for $1,000. I mean, the $400 and $500 playset ones from 2008 and 2016 respectively had working elevators that ran up the middle of them, and so it's nice to see that type of thing recreated, and I think this one looks much nicer than the elevator system from 2008 and 2016 did, so great improvement there as well. Now, what I'm noticing with this elevator system is that it feels like each door is going to have to be opened manually. Like, I saw this gear. I'm not sure what this gear does. Like, let me zoom out here. Like, I don't think this is the back of the box. I think this is the other side of the box, because the back of the box would show more features and things, and it doesn't here. I'm not sure what that gear is going to do because it doesn't show here. Oh yeah, there's Leia in the interrogation room thing with a little interrogation droid. So there we go. Okay, we have their answer to that. I didn't really cross-reference all of these before I started. But anyway, we'll get off that. And on the very top level, you've got the final elevator door here, and you've got an astromech droid in front of that. And so what I noticed is that astromech droid is this astromech droid, which I actually don't know what astromech droid that is, but it's very odd that this astromech droid is at the very end next to the beast trooper, and it just so happens to be right in front of the elevator door that, like, this elevator leads to nothing. There's no room up here. It's completely walled off on both sides. All of these other elevators, like that leads to that room, this leads to these rooms, this leads down the hallway to the left, hallway to the right, this leads down this hallway to Han Solo, this leads out into the hangar and down over to the trash compactor, but this elevator doesn't lead anywhere. Then that's because it's got to be where the beach trooper is. And if you look at the very top of this diagram here, you're going to see a little part that juts out the back. That's probably just the back end of the wall that they had to extend to fit some sort of hot tub build inside of there. So if you're wondering where the beach trooper hot tub build is, because I was too, I was like, what's going on? Where is it? I had to look at this for a minute, and I figured out it has to be at the top. This is the only spot for it. There's no other place for like a hidden compartment at the bottom or anything. There's just no way there's anything going on there. So my suspicion, very strongly so, is going to be that it's going to be in this little room here, and you'll be able to access it like that. And perhaps from the back as well, but I know we don't have that great image, so we don't know for sure. Finally, we've got a couple other sections. Now, somewhere here, because it's in this other picture, is a Death Star cannon like this. And I think you can see, if you look at the tip of this, how that looks. Also great looking Death Star cannon. It's going to be just to the right of the Palpatine Death Star duel area. Like it's going to be in this area here, right below my camera. So kind of see the tip of the cannon there. It's certainly there. It's where it has to be. But anyway, this Death Star final duel area on the build is really cool looking. Now, when I first saw this, I assumed that this was literally the diorama set smashed in there. It's a slightly downsized version of the diorama set. It's, I don't know, 2/3 the scale, at least with the way this round part on the outside is. This interior part in the chair, very well, maybe the exact same build, but this on the outside, definitely a slightly changed build, slightly smaller part of the build, but it still looks really great. It's actually crazy that they could make that diorama set a little bit smaller, you know? Like, that's really awesome to see. It fits really well into the build. It's kind of shadowy up here, but I assume like you're going to have just some empty gray space within there. It also looks like there's ample space for minifigs, and this is another area on the build where they made it a little bit wider than the rest of the Death Star. So I think that is a really sick part of the build, though, and I'm very glad that they were able to give you even more floor space, because you definitely needed that. You can see the stairs probably come down to about the main width of the Death Star, so they definitely needed to extend that. But just having gone through all the rooms, I mean, I think it covers everything you could want out of a Death Star build and more, obviously, with the little hot tub room. Let me actually look at the one behind me and see if I'm missing anything. I think this thing literally has everything I could want and then some. I mean, it covers all of the rooms that you would need for the Death Star, which is probably the goal they had coming into it. So having seen all the rooms on the Death Star and gone through all the details, $1,000 is still crazy. I think the biggest takeaway for me personally is I'm not as disappointed in this build as I thought I would be. Like, they clearly put a lot of effort into it. It looks really cool in each little room, and I guess people are calling it the diorama Death Star. And that's a pretty fitting name because each section feels like a diorama. The whole thing is essentially a diorama. And I think it's a really cool concept for a set. Is it a really cool concept for your very first $1,000 set? No, it's not a great idea to do that, I think, because clearly a lot of the community is pushing back on that. But this is like a pretty dang cool set. And I think, unfortunately, because of its price, it's going to, and the lack of dual molded legs, which is ridiculous also given the price, whether it was $1,000 or $800, either of those price points should have dual molded legs for all the figures that deserve and need them. But I think this set, because of its price point, not necessarily because of the concept, is getting like laughed at. Like, seeing it now, I can understand why they didn't make it a full sphere. Like, this is a really cool way to do a Death Star display, and you can actually see all of the rooms all at once, unlike with a Death Star like that, where you can only see one side of it at once. And the other deal if it's spherical is just where it can actually fit on a shelf. Like, it becomes too deep very fast. So this makes it very large and very tall, very wide, but it's not as deep as a completely spherical Death Star would be. That is all very quickly a moot point once people bring up the fact that the set is $1,000, and then the kind of slam dunk thing is, oh, it's not a full sphere for $1,000. Where's the rest of it? And I get it, but I also look at this and I'm like, it's actually pretty good. And I feel like I feel differently about this set because I was disappointed about it 6 months ago. And then I see it and I'm like, oh, it's just not as bad as I had envisioned. That's nice to have for once. It's usually the other way around. So I feel like I'm having the opposite reaction. At the end of the day, $1,000 is clearly going to be too much here. They really should have done everything in their power, and they have the power. They could have made it $900 and still made money hand over fist. I think if they had made this $900 and not the $1,000, where it becomes this big like talking point, big like milestone that people have been waiting to see Lego hit for a long time, this doesn't get the same like conversation. But they made it $1,000 and they got to put their money where their mouth is. And I feel like in some ways they didn't. In some ways they did. Like, this build looks incredible. It's a very unique stylistic Death Star. And I think it's the second best Death Star ever. Like, I think it's better than those playset Death Stars. I would rather have this than have those. I just don't know if this is the type of set like the Master Builder series Cloud City. Like, for example, that is a set that I went to release day to buy in 2018. 3 people, myself included, showed up to buy that one at the busiest Lego store in the world at Disney Springs in Orlando. I am very interested to see what happens with this set on release day. Whether I have this set early or not, I will go to the Lego store in Orlando and see what it's like. I want to know, are 3 people going to show up for this? Is it as bad? Because Cloud City was also like hated on. People didn't like it. People thought it was overpriced. I'm very curious how that is with this set. Now at $1,000, you know, 3 times what Cloud City was back in 2018. I bet a lot more than 3 people are going to show up for this set. But I don't know, it's still $1,000. And at the end of the day, that is a lot of money to pay for a collectible like this. And especially one that doesn't actually meet its own slogan of only the best to being good enough. You know, like how are you not going to include dual molded legs on all of the figures that need them for $1,000? That's crazy. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on the $1,000 Death Star in the comment section below. That's my full breakdown for now. Probably won't make another video about this with pictures until actual like official pictures come from Lego at some point in about a month, I think, a little bit less than a month. So a little ways away. But yeah, hit the like button if you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts and subscribe so you can check out my review of the Death Star and comparisons and reviews of those Death Stars. A lot of Death Star content coming over the next couple of months. It's going to be a grind because these are some big sets, hard to review. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Later.